On May 22, 2017, we visited Vimy Ridge and Essex Farm Cemetery to gain an appreciation and understanding of Canada's involvement in World War I. These images were taken during the Battle of Vimy Ridge that took place April 9th to 12th of 1917. Looking at the landscape 100 years later offers quite the comparison. The crater-like divots in the grass look like geological features, but are actually the remnants of shell holes and trench lines depicted previously. A small portion of the original trenches were preserved and reinforced with concrete to allow visitors like us to imagine what it may have been like for the soldiers.
The battle was engaged at 5:28 a.m. Easter Monday of 1917. It was a freezing morning of snow and sleet. The Canadians advanced behind a rolling barrage. This line of artillery fire moved ahead at a set rate and was timed to the minute. The Canadian infantrymen followed the line of explosions closely. By early afternoon, 3 out of 5 of their objectives were taken. Fighting ensued for 4 days with a key victory on April 10th at Hill 145, the highest ground and site of the memorial today. By April 12th, the Canadians had secured all 5 of their objectives, defeating the Germans. However, the victory came at a huge cost, leaving 3,598 Canadians dead, as well as 10,500 casualties. The monument commemorates their sacrifice. Designed by Canadian sculptor and architect Walter Seymour Aylward, the monument took 11 years to build and features 20 symbolic sculptures carved out of limestone. The names at the base of the monument remember the 11,285 Canadian soldiers who were killed in France and whose final resting place was then unknown.
So we come to Vimy Ridge and we go to the Cemetary. Children are prepped beforehand, told them what happened at Vimy Ridge and the amazing Canadian effort.
Yeah.
So we teach them all about that beforehand. I think they do actually. Yeah, I think it's hard for them to imagine how awful it was and the importance of it. It's very hard. So we try and instill in them how important it is. And they do seem to appreciate it. Yeah, just try and think about how terrible it was back then and the awfulness of it all, I suppose. And the statues and the monument remind you of that. And the names gives you some indication of just how terrible it must have been. So I find myself trying to imagine what it was like, which is not easy.
Despite being 6,000 kilometers away from Canada, I felt at home. I talked to my dad after, and he expressed similar sentiments, remembering competing in Belgium as an elite cyclist 30 years ago, and having the people cheer for de Canadiens, as they called him. They still remember and honor the harsh sacrifices in the fields of Flanders and the delirious liberation of their lands despite the war having ended many years ago. We won't forget.
I felt moved and emotional experiencing the site firsthand. Seeing the actual battlegrounds was sobering and allowed me to visually see what the Battle of Vimy Ridge was really like. Imagining the conditions that the soldiers would have been in, along with the memorial that honors those who bravely fought, was extremely emotional. I'm very glad that we took the time to visit the site, allowing us to remember all of the courageous men who fought so bravely in World War I.